My sister's family took over our childhood home and tried to steal it from me. I fought back and won. When I pulled into the driveway of my parents' house in Columbus, it was like stepping into a time machine. Same peeling white paint, same rickety porch swing, same broken porch light that Dad swore he'd fix every year and never did. I sat there for a minute, hands tight on the steering wheel, just breathing. Coming back wasn't part of the plan. But after graduation, no job offers, no savings, reality hit fast and hard. So here I was, 24, degree in hand, pride in pieces, moving back home. Mom met me at the door, arms open wide. "Emily, oh, sweetheart, we're so happy to have you home." Dad grunted from his recliner, remote in one hand, beer in the other. "Good to have you, kid." I smiled tight, hauling my suitcase through the doorway. It felt weird. Off. Like I was stepping into someone else's life. The first few weeks were fine. Sort of. Mom kept calling me our little miracle. Dad kept asking when I was going to get a real job. It was like being 16 all over again. Dinner at 6. Curfew jokes. Passive-aggressive comments about dirty dishes. I told myself it was temporary. A couple months, tops. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. I'd save some money. Find a decent job. Get out. Simple. Then Samantha called. I hadn't even finished my coffee that morning when Mom burst into my room without knocking. "Sam and Ryan need a place to stay for a little while," she said breathlessly. I blinked, bleary-eyed. "What?" "They're having trouble with their apartment. Kids and all. Just for a few weeks." I sat up slowly. "Wait. Sam. Her husband, and their 3 kids? Here?" Mom nodded like it was the most obvious thing in the world. "Their family, Em. We have to help." I rubbed my temples. "Where are they all going to sleep?" Mom smiled brightly. "Well, you'll share your room with the girls. Ryan and Sam will take the guest room." I stared at her. "You're serious?" She patted my shoulder like I was being difficult. "It'll be fun. Like a big sleepover." Fun was not the word I would have used. 2 days later, they rolled in. A caravan of minivans, strollers, toys, bags of clothes. Chaos exploded into the house like a bomb. Screaming kids. Barking dogs. Crashing toys. Samantha marched into the kitchen like she owned the place. "Mom, where's the good wine glasses? I'm dying." Ryan dropped onto the living room couch, boots still muddy from outside. "TV still busted?" He barked at Dad. I stood there, suitcase still in hand, watching the house I grew up in vanish right before my eyes. That night was a disaster. The girls, Madison and Bella, screamed and fought until 2 in the morning. Their baby brother, Jake, cried every hour like clockwork. My bed was a pile of old blankets in the corner of my own room. At breakfast, Samantha breezed in, grabbed the last slice of toast off my plate without asking, and said, "You're not working anyway. Can you watch the kids today while Ryan and I run errands?" I blinked. "Excuse me? You're home," she said, like it explained everything. "Your family," Mom chimed in. Dad didn't even look up from his newspaper. I laughed, short and sharp. "I'm job hunting," I said. Samantha rolled her eyes. "Come on, Emily. It's just for a few hours." It wasn't. It was 6 hours. 6 hours of screaming, fighting, poopy diapers, and spilled juice. When they finally stumbled back in, arms full of shopping bags and Starbucks cups, I was ready to scream. Ryan clapped me on the shoulder. "Good job, Em. Keep it up. You might make a decent babysitter." Samantha laughed like it was the funniest thing she'd ever heard. That night, I sat on the front porch staring at the dark sky, fists clenched. Something was wrong. Something was really, really wrong. This wasn't temporary. This wasn't family helping family. This was something else. And deep down, I knew. They weren't planning on leaving anytime soon. Maybe not ever. The next morning, I came downstairs half awake and nearly tripped over a pile of backpacks and sneakers dumped by the stairs. In the kitchen, Samantha was already making herself at home, using the good plates, blasting music on the speaker, yelling over the noise to the girls fighting in the living room. Ryan sat at the table, scrolling his phone like a king waiting for breakfast. Mom fluttered around, handing out coffee and cutting up fruit like she was running A, B, and B. Nobody noticed me standing there. Nobody said good morning. Nobody even looked up. I cleared my throat. Samantha glanced over. "Oh, hey, Em, grab a broom or something, would you? The kitchen's a mess." I blinked. "What?" She shoved an empty cereal box into my hands. "Make yourself useful." I dropped the box in the trash and walked outside. Sat on the porch swing, feeling like a ghost in my own house. This wasn't home anymore. It was a war zone, and I was losing. Later that day, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. Samantha's voice sharp. cutting. I don't know why she's still here. She's not helping. She's just taking up space. Ryan grunted. Maybe she should find somewhere else to live. Mom's voice, soft and uncertain. She's still looking for a job. It's not easy right now. Samantha cut her off. She's a grown adult, Mom. She needs to figure it out. Dad muttered something I couldn't catch. The conversation shifted, but I stood there, just out of sight, fist clenched so hard my nails dug into my palms. They were talking about me like I wasn't even real, like I was an inconvenience, a problem to solve, a piece of furniture they didn't want anymore. That night, Samantha cornered me in the hallway. You should think about getting your own place, she said sweetly. Fake sweet. Like sugar hiding poison. I crossed my arms. This is my home too. She laughed. This? Emily, you're an adult living off your parents. Grow up. I stared at her. You're living here too. And you brought a whole damn army with you. Her smile tightened. Yeah, but Mom and Dad want us here. We're family. We help. I almost choked. You help? You don't even pay for groceries. Her eyes flashed. Watch your mouth. Or what? For a second, I thought she was going to slap me. Instead, she turned on her heel and stalked away. The next day, I found my stuff moved. My books, boxed up and shoved into the basement. My shoes piled in the hall closet under their junk. Even my mail tossed in a drawer with broken crayons and junk flyers. It wasn't subtle. They were erasing me, piece by piece. I tried talking to Mom, tried explaining how suffocating it felt. She wrung her hands. I just don't want fights, Emily. It's temporary. Just let them settle in. They're not settling in, I said. They're taking over. She looked away, wouldn't meet my eyes, wouldn't choose me. One afternoon, I came home from a job interview, sweaty, exhausted, to find Ryan installing a giant flat-screen TV in the living room. My living room. He grinned at me. Pretty sweet, huh? Where did you even get that? I asked. Craigslist. Got a deal. I stared at the wall. At the huge, ugly mount he drilled straight through the plaster without asking. You can't just, he cut me off. Relax. It's not your house. That hit harder than I wanted to admit. Because it wasn't just Ryan talking. It was all of them. All of them thinking the same thing. This wasn't my house anymore. Not really. I was a guest in the place I grew up. An intruder in my own life. The worst part? They didn't even pretend to be subtle about it anymore. One night, I overheard Samantha whispering to Mom. If Emily moved out, we could finally turn her room into a playroom for the kids. Mom hesitated, then sighed. Maybe it's time. I packed a bag that night. Just a small one. Enough clothes for a few days. My laptop. My birth certificate. Important stuff I couldn't risk losing. Because deep down, I knew. This wasn't going to end with them pushing me gently out the door. They were setting the stage for something bigger. Something worse. And I was right. Because the next morning, I found a stack of papers on the kitchen table. Samantha's handwriting scribbled across the top. Proposal for property transfer. I picked it up with shaking hands. Scanned the words. They were trying to convince my parents to legally transfer ownership of the house to Samantha and Ryan. For the good of the family. For stability. For the next generation. My name wasn't mentioned once. Not once. It was like I didn't even exist. I stood there in the kitchen, heart racing, the paper crumpling in my fist. And I realized something cold and hard. They weren't just pushing me out. They were trying to erase me. Cut me out completely. Steal everything. And I wasn't going to let them. Not without a fight. I sat at the kitchen table staring at the proposal for property transfer, hands trembling with rage. Samantha's fake cheerful handwriting danced across the page like it wasn't a death sentence for me. For family stability. For the kids. For the greater good. Every word was poison. And my parents? They were considering it. Actually considering it. I stormed into the living room, the paper crumpled tight in my fist. Mom looked up from folding laundry. Dad barely glanced away from the football game. Samantha and Ryan were sprawled on the couch like they owned it. Explain this, I snapped, holding up the paper. Samantha smirked without shame. Just a suggestion, she said sweetly. Nothing's finalized. Ryan snorted. Yet. I turned to Mom. You're actually thinking about signing this? Mom wrung her hands, guilty. It's just. Sam has the kids. They need space. Stability. You're young, Em. You'll find your way. My heart cracked clean in half. I grew up here, I said. This is my home too. Samantha rolled her eyes. You act like we're stealing from you. We're keeping the house in the family. I rounded on her. You're stealing my future. Ryan stood up slow, towering over me. Maybe if you weren't such a screw-up, you wouldn't be living here at all. My fists clenched. I wanted to hit him, wanted to scream. But instead, I smiled. Cold and sharp. I'll see you in court before I let you take anything. Samantha's face twisted. You wouldn't dare. Watch me, I said. I spent the next 2 days in full battle mode. Pulled every document I could find. The house deed, the mortgage papers, tax records. And guess what? The house was fully paid off. In both my parents' names. No debts. Which meant any transfer would have to be voluntary. And I would have to fight it with everything I had. I called a lawyer. A real estate attorney named Mr. Dalton who specialized in property disputes. He sounded tired when he picked up the phone. But when I explained the situation, his voice sharpened. They're trying to force a quitclaim deed, he said. Standard trick. Happens more than you'd believe. Can they do it without my consent? I asked. He paused. Legally, if your parents sign it willingly, you have no standing. Unless you can prove coercion, manipulation, or undue influence. I swallowed hard. I can prove it, I said. I would prove it. Whatever it took. Meanwhile, inside the house, all hell broke loose. Samantha treated me like a cockroach. Every morning, new rules would be taped to the fridge. No using the laundry before 9 p.m. No guests without permission. No cooking dinner unless approved. I ripped them down one by one. She taped them back up. It was war. Petty. Vicious. Constant. Ryan started locking the garage door, the one I used to park in, forcing me to leave my car in the street. The kids left toys scattered everywhere, like landmines. Once, I tripped over a scooter and nearly broke my wrist. Nobody apologized. They just laughed. Mom pretended not to see. Dad stayed glued to his recliner, beer in hand. Nobody wanted to pick sides. Nobody except me. One night, after another screaming match over the bathroom schedule, Samantha cornered me in the hallway. You know you can't win, she hissed. I smiled. You keep underestimating me. Keep going. She leaned in close. You're just jealous. Of what? Of me. My family. My life. I barked a laugh. Yeah, Samantha. I dream of freeloading off my parents and bullying my little sister out of her home. Her face turned red. You're pathetic. No, I said. I'm dangerous. And I meant it. I stayed up all night typing, drafting an official objection letter, outlining every instance of harassment, every threat, every attempt at manipulation. I emailed it to Mr. Dalton, attached every screenshot I had, every photo, every note, everything. He wrote back the next morning. You have a strong case. If they move forward, we file an injunction immediately. I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Real, burning, white-hot hope. Meanwhile, Samantha and Ryan ramped up the pressure. They started hosting family meetings without me loud enough that I could hear every word through the thin walls. Talking about renovations, plans for new furniture, painting the bedrooms, as if the house was already theirs, as if I was already gone. Then, they crossed a line. I came home one night to find my bedroom door wide open. Inside, my closet emptied, my bed stripped, my shelves cleared. In the middle of the room, a tiny pink bed, stuffed animals, a toy box. They had turned my room into a nursery, without asking, without warning, without even telling me. I stood there, frozen, breathing hard. Samantha appeared in the doorway, arms folded. You weren't using it properly, she said, smiling like a cat that caught a mouse. So we made it useful. I didn't answer, didn't yell, didn't cry. I just turned, walked downstairs, and pulled out my phone. Dialed Mr. Dalton. Straight to voicemail. I left one message. Clear. Sharp. It's happening. Prepare everything. I'm ready to fight. Because they didn't just want me out. They wanted me erased. Forgotten. Gone. And if they thought I was gonna make it easy, they didn't know me at all. 3 days after they stole my bedroom, I served Samantha and Ryan official legal notice. Printed, notarized, formal. I handed it to them right in the middle of breakfast. Ryan's fork froze halfway to his mouth. Samantha stared like she couldn't believe it was real. What the hell is this? She snapped, snatching the paper. Objection to property transfer, I said calmly. Filed through my attorney. You lawyered up? Ryan barked, rising out of his chair. I smiled, all teeth. Surprise. Samantha crumpled the paper in her fist. You can't stop this. Already have. Mom looked between us, horrified. Emily, you didn't have to go that far. I turned to her, heart pounding. I asked for help. You ignored me. You left me no choice. Dad grunted but said nothing, staring at his plate like it was the most fascinating thing in the world. Figures. After that, it was open warfare. Every conversation turned into a fight. Every meal was a battlefield. Every glance across the room was a bullet. Samantha started whispering poison into Mom's ear. I could hear it through the walls. She's selfish. She's ungrateful. She's tearing this family apart. Mom started leaving me out of family dinners. Started forgetting to tell me about plans. It hurt more than I wanted to admit, but I didn't back down. Not one step. Then Samantha made a mistake. A huge, fatal mistake. One night, I came home from another job interview. Tired, defeated, ready to collapse. Instead, I found two strangers in the living room. Middle-aged, sharp suits, clipboards in hand, real estate agents. They smiled when they saw me. "Hi there. We're just doing a quick walkthrough. Your parents are considering listing the property." I blinked. "What?" Mom appeared behind them, wringing her hands. I thought it might be easier to just sell the house," she mumbled. "And where am I supposed to go?" I asked, voice tight. She didn't answer. After they left, I cornered Samantha in the kitchen. "You think you're clever?" I hissed. She smirked. "Maybe you'll finally get the hint." I leaned closer. "You just committed fraud." Her smile faltered. "What are you talking about?" "You tried to list a property without full owner consent," I said. "My lawyer's already filing a cease and desist." "You're bluffing," she spat. "Try me." The next morning, Mr. Dalton filed a formal complaint. The real estate agency panicked, withdrew the listing immediately, sent a formal apology to my attorney. Samantha and Ryan? They lost their minds, screamed at me, accused me of betrayal, as if they hadn't been stabbing me in the back for months. Later that night, Mom came into my room, or what was left of it, looking broken. "Emily," she whispered, "please, can't we fix this?" I stood, arms crossed. "Only one way." "How?" I met her eyes. "Kick them out." She flinched like I slapped her. "I can't." "Then don't expect me to save you when the house is gone." She cried. Real, gut-wrenching sobs. I didn't move, didn't comfort her. She made her choice. She could live with it. Meanwhile, Samantha and Ryan launched their final attack. They tried to drag me into a family meeting, tried to guilt-trip me, tried to twist it. "If you loved this family," Samantha said, fake tears in her eyes, "you'd support us." I laughed. Cold. Bitter. "You mean if I loved this family, I'd let you steal everything?" Ryan slammed his fist on the table. "You're a selfish little brat." "No," I said. "I'm the only adult in this house." They threatened to sue. I called their bluff. They threatened to call the cops. I invited them to try. They threatened to tell the whole family how toxic I was. I said, "Go ahead. I'll post screenshots." They had nothing. Nothing but tantrums and empty threats. The final showdown came faster than I expected. One morning, a sheriff's car pulled up, served Samantha and Ryan with formal trespassing warnings, issued by my parents. Turns out, Mom finally cracked under the pressure. Maybe it was the endless fighting. Maybe it was the fear of losing everything. Maybe, just maybe, she finally remembered she loved me. I don't know. But when I saw that deputy hand Ryan a slip of paper, I almost cried. Almost. Ryan tried to argue, screamed about injustice, threatened lawsuits. The deputy didn't flinch. "You have 72 hours to vacate," he said calmly. "Failure to comply will result in arrest." Samantha broke down in the driveway, full-on ugly crying. Mom stood on the porch, trembling. Dad stayed in his recliner. Typical. They packed in furious silence. Boxes slamming, doors banging, children crying. By the second night, the house was nearly empty. No more toys in the hallway. No more cereal spilled on the counters. No more Ryan's muddy boots blocking the stairs. Just peace. Raw. Wounded, but real. The morning they left, Samantha paused in the doorway, turned back to glare at me. "You think you won?" she hissed. I smiled. "No. I know I did." She shook her head. "You'll regret this." I tilted my head. "You regret underestimating me yet?" Her mouth twisted, but she said nothing, just turned and walked away. Ryan followed, muttering curses under his breath. The door slammed, and they were gone. I stood there for a long time, listening to the silence. Real silence. No screaming, no stomping, no threats. Just home. For the first time in a long, long time. But deep down, I knew it wasn't over. People like Samantha don't just walk away. They plot. They wait. They come back meaner, more desperate, more dangerous. And I was ready for whatever came next. It had been 2 weeks since Samantha and Ryan left. 2 blissful, silent weeks. No screaming kids. No passive-aggressive notes. No threats at the breakfast table. I was starting to believe it was really over. Starting to breathe again. Starting to live again. Until I got the letter. Plain white envelope. No return address. Inside, a single typed page. Legal threats. Samantha and Ryan claiming emotional distress, wrongful eviction, and demanding compensation for damages. I laughed out loud when I finished reading. The kind of laugh that sounded too sharp, too broken. They weren't just angry. They were desperate. Pathetic. I drove straight to Mr. Dalton's office. Dropped the letter on his desk. He read it once, then tossed it aside. Empty threats, he said. You sure? He nodded. If they want to waste money filing a lawsuit, let them. It'll get thrown out immediately. You're protected by the trespass order and the property deed. They have nothing. Relief flooded me so hard I nearly collapsed. But Dalton wasn't done. They might try something else, he warned. People like that rarely go quietly. He was right. 3 days later, the nightmare started again. First, someone slashed my car tires. All 4. In broad daylight. I came out of the grocery store to find my little Honda sagging pitifully on the pavement. No note. No witnesses. Just 4 flat tires and a gut-deep certainty in my bones. Samantha. Ryan. Or both. I filed a police report. Insurance covered the damage. But the message was clear. We're not done. Then came the fake job applications. My email flooded overnight. Weird, scammy offers. Fake job interviews scheduled. All using my real information. All sent from burner accounts. They were trying to mess with my future. Sabotage me. Keep me trapped. Keep me small. I tightened security on everything. New passwords. New phone number. Blocked every unknown call. I wasn't scared. I was furious. One night, around midnight, someone pounded on the door. Hard. Relentless. Rusty went ballistic, barking like a maniac. I grabbed my phone and crept to the peephole. Couldn't see a face. Just a figure in a hoodie. Standing there. Waiting. Pounding again. I called the police without hesitation. 2 cruisers rolled up in minutes. Whoever it was gone before they arrived. But the officers didn't leave me empty-handed. They found a note taped to the mailbox. Sloppy handwriting. Black marker. This isn't yours. I filed another report. Another restraining order extension. Built another wall around myself. Not because I was scared, but because I refused to let them win. Not now. Not ever. A few days later, Brooke came over. She found me scrubbing the porch steps, rage in every swipe of the brush. You okay? She asked. I looked up. No, I said honestly, but I will be. She sat beside me on the porch. For a while, we didn't speak. Just sat there in the fading light, breathing in the cold fall air. Finally, she said, they're scared of you, you know. I snorted. They should be. She smiled. Because you won. Winning didn't feel like champagne and victory laps. It felt like exhaustion. It felt like fighting every day just to keep what was already mine. But damn it, I had fought. And I was still standing. I thought maybe, they'd finally back off. That they'd realize it was over. That they'd crawl back into whatever miserable hole they came from. But Samantha had one last card to play. And it was the nastiest one yet. One rainy afternoon, I got a call from CPS, Child Protective Services. A woman's voice, calm but firm. Miss Parker? We received an anonymous tip alleging neglect and unsafe living conditions at your address. We're required to investigate. I almost dropped the phone. What? It's standard procedure. We'll need to schedule a home visit. My stomach flipped. I knew exactly who made the call. And why. Revenge. Pure, dirty revenge. I spent the whole night scrubbing the house from top to bottom. Not because it was dirty, it wasn't. But because I knew how these things worked. I needed everything spotless. Organized. Perfect. I even bought new smoke detectors and carbon monoxide alarms just to be extra safe. When the CPS agent showed up, I was ready. Rusty sat politely by the door. Every surface gleamed. Every document, from my lease to my restraining orders, stacked neatly on the kitchen table. The agent toured the house, checked every room, asked a few polite questions. At the end, she smiled. Everything looks great. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I walked her out into the rain, heart still pounding. Watched her drive away. Closed the door. Collapsed onto the couch, shaking with rage. Samantha tried to destroy me. Tried to drag me into the dirt with her. And she failed. Again. I sent one text. Short. Cold. Final. Try again. I dare you. I never got a reply. Because she knew. She lost. For good this time. Spring came early that year. The snow melted fast. The trees in Columbus bloomed with pink and white flowers. The air smelled like clean rain and fresh starts. And for the first time in years, I wasn't looking over my shoulder. I was home. Really home. The house felt different. Quieter. Safer. Stronger. Just like me. I replaced the locks. Repainted every wall. Tore down every broken memory Samantha and Ryan left behind. I bought new curtains, hung new pictures, even planted a little garden out back. Just a few scraggly tomato plants and some herbs. But it was mine. All of it was mine. And no one could take it away. Mom and I had a long talk one evening, sitting on the front porch. She looked older than I remembered, tired in a way that had nothing to do with age. She held her coffee cup with both hands like it might slip away if she wasn't careful. "I'm sorry," she said finally, "for not standing up for you. I didn't say anything. I just let the silence stretch between us, heavy but healing." "You were right," she whispered. I let them run over everything." "I know," I said. She looked at me, tears shining in her eyes. "I'm proud of you, Emily. That broke something in me. In a good way." I leaned my head against her shoulder, and for the first time in a long time, we just sat there, not as enemies, not as strangers, but as family. Real family. The kind that survives. The kind that heals. Dad never really apologized. Not in words. But one afternoon, I found a new swing installed on the porch. Sturdy. Fresh chains. Fresh wood. Just like the one that broke years ago, and he always said he'd fix. No note. No announcement. Just there. A small, stubborn, silent gesture. It was enough. Samantha and Ryan? I never heard from them again. Not directly. Oh, I heard rumors. Whispers. Friends of friends saying they bounced from one rental to another, burning every bridge they crossed. Always blaming someone else. Always playing the victims. They didn't change. They never would. And it wasn't my job to fix them. Not anymore. Brooke and I celebrated by throwing a backyard barbecue that summer. Just a few close friends. Laughing. Eating burnt hot dogs. Drinking cheap wine under the fairy lights strung across the trees. At one point, she raised her glass and shouted over the music, to Emily, queen of her own damn castle. Everyone cheered. I laughed so hard I nearly fell off the porch steps. Because it was true. I built this life with my own hands. Defended it with everything I had. And no one could ever take it away again. Some scars stayed. Some nights, when the wind howled just right, I still thought I heard Samantha's voice, cold, sharp, accusing. Still felt that old fear prickle at the back of my neck. But then Rusty would bark, loud and loyal, and the world would settle back into peace. And I would breathe deep. I survived. I won. I grew stronger. One rainy afternoon, cleaning out an old box from the attic, I found a photo. Me and Samantha, 10 years old, arms slung around each other, grinning like idiots. Before everything went wrong. Before money and jealousy and bitterness tore it all apart. I almost threw it away. Almost. Instead, I put it back in the box. Not because I forgave her. Not because I missed her. But because that girl in the photo? She deserved to be remembered. Before everything fell apart. Before survival became a battle. Now, every time I walk through my house, my home, I remember, I earned this peace. I bled for it. I fought for it. And no one can ever take it away from me again. Not family. Not betrayal. Not fear. Nobody. Because sometimes, the people who are supposed to love you the most are the ones you have to fight the hardest to be free from. And that's okay. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you broken. It makes you brave. Braver than they'll ever understand. And what about you? Have you ever had to fight your own family just to protect what was yours? Was there a moment when you realized you had to stand alone? Share your story in the comments. Your voice matters. Your story matters. And if this story resonated with you, subscribe to the channel, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and remember, your peace is worth fighting for. Always.